Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Locker Room Talk Uncut. Drew Garrison, Chad Penrod in the locker room, bringing you the latest in sports. Today, we're going to touch on the loaded fight card from this past weekend, UFC 249. It did not disappoint, did it, Chad? Justin Gaethje knocking out Tony Ferguson in the main event. TKO.
I think that the UFC has found another star.
Man.
And Justin Gaethje. Because, when this fight was first announced, because Khabib had to, pull out because of the virus or whatnot. I was like, man, this sucks. Yeah,
you were kind of down on the first fight. I think I was too.
Especially before the 3-week layoff. When it was supposed to happen and
right.
Disney pulled out or whatever, and then 3 weeks later, the fight happens and gave both fighters a little more time. I was disappointed in for. Now Gaethje 22 or 23-2. Dude, that dude throws bombs, man.
Oh my God, dude! I could not believe the shots he was landing and the power behind him. But also, I couldn't believe how Tony was just eating them, dude, and coming back for more.
He was just standing in there, getting nailed, and just still coming forward. And
those are shots you've seen knock people out from Gaethje.
Yeah, I mean that's Tony Ferguson in a nutshell, man. That dude's a badass for someone that, pretty much got the shit kicked out of him that entire fight.
Dana didn't disappoint, man. He said it was going to be a good one, and I know a lot of people, like, on our Facebook pages we were talking about, they're like, well, because I said I thought it was a great fight. It may be a top 5 fight that I've ever watched, and people said, well, why? Tony kind of got his ass whooped the whole time, but to me, I'm like, yeah, dude, but he kept taking those fucking shots and coming and coming and coming.
Yeah, I mean, what I think a lot of people fail to realize is majority of people, I would say over 90% of the people, Justin Gaethje knocks them out. And Tony was taking shot after shot and still going forward, and just an amazing fight, an amazing card. We'll go over what we want to happen or what we think is going to happen next. But just kind of going down, the rest of the card there. The co-main event, Henry Cejudo and Dominic Cruz. Another real good fight. And like I thought, Cejudo comes out on top of there, and then he announces his retirement. I think Henry is 32 or 33 years old. A lot of people think that he's not done. He's still pretty much in his prime, and they think that
that's a contract.
It's a contract thing, and he's trying to get more money out of the UFC.
Yeah, I just he's too energetic. He's too relatively young. I think he's kind of that was a big part of him on his come up. I think that's definitely maybe a pull for more money rather than him actually retiring. I don't really like him.
I'm not a huge fan either.
But he's a fucking bad dude at the same time. Man. I was watching the pre-fight. Dude, you remember Krispy Kreme, the rapper from YouTube? He looked just fucking like him. But I don't know. I didn't really like his attitude, kind of his demeanor. But man, he got in the ring and he was a bad fucking dude.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't think he's going anywhere. I think there's still fights to be set up with him. I don't know who's next. Maybe TJ Dillashaw when he gets back. I'm not 100% sure. But Henry Cejudo, he retains the bantamweight belt. And then the next big fight on there, and I called this before we shit on, I think on the last episode, I said the Francis Ngannou in the Rosenstruck fight could steal the show. Well, Francis Ngannou knocks the dude out in 20 seconds into the first round.
We were watching the fights together all at Austin's house, man, and you said right before it started, this is going to be over in like 20 seconds. And I think, it was 19, 20 seconds, just knockout. You've been calling that
Francis
for a week.
Ngannou, dude, that dude is so strong.
And we were actually talking while we were all sitting there, and it was actually kind of funny. It was Chris, our good buddy Chris, brought it up. He said, would you rather take a punch from him or Tyson in his prime? And I still think I'd take the punch from Ngannou.
Oh, God, dude. The last person I want to take a hit from is Tyson.
Maybe now, if you've seen that video going around.
Just kind of getting back into there. People were wondering, what's next with Ngannou. Because there's kind of a holdup there at the heavyweight because Stipe, the champion, is going through some injuries and word is it's supposed to be him and DC for the third fight. DC won the first one. Stipe won the second one. So we're not really sure exactly what's going on with the heavyweight. The one thing we know that I actually seen today, John Jones came out and said, "I've proven everything I need to prove at light heavyweight, and I'm going up to heavyweight."
Oh,
so
wow,
now,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so now we're about to see some, and he actually even said he'll fight Ngannou. So,
shit!
And he's one of my favorite fighters. I know John's fucking crazy, but when it comes to just straight fighting skills, in my opinion, he's the best ever.
So damn good.
The best to ever step into an octagon is John Jones. But my two favorite fighters, Nate Diaz, Stipe. Obviously, I like Conor. And John Jones. So I really can't wait to see, and I think it's going to happen, a matchup between Stipe and John Jones. Eventually, I think that happens.
One thing that was interesting, I think Austin told me when we watched the fights too. I didn't know about Stipe. I know he's kind of laying low because of the pandemic or whatever you would call it, but I didn't know that he's a first responder. He's like a firefighter.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
And he's Cleveland, so he's in Cleveland helping out with whatever he can with the virus. So it ain't like he's backing down. And word is, he came out on Twitter and said that his management team has had talks with the UFC about. The DC fight. Apparently that is going to happen. Stipe and Daniel Cormier 3.
I'm about tired of DC, man.
Yeah, I used to hate DC until he moved up to heavyweight and he stopped trying to just wrestle with people.
Yeah, it's gotten better.
And it's gotten better. Yeah, so there's that. I
was feeling like maybe he saw that fight and he's like, "No, I'm good out here announcing."
Yeah, no, well, I don't think you guys watched it last night. So the UFC had a fight night last night.
I saw some of the highlights. That shit was vicious.
I watched the entire thing, man. That fight last night between Smith and Glover Teixeira, I forgot to say his last name, but man, these guys all have crazy names. They're all from different countries and shit, so it's hard to keep up. But man, what a brutal fight, dude. Dude, I've never seen.
That was rough.
Yeah, Teixeira just wore him out, dude.
Teeth missing and shit, gashes and legs.
2 teeth, and kind of not to skip back around here, but go to the fourth fight there on the main card was Jeremy Stephenson and Calvin Kattar. Calvin Kattar wins that one by TKO, and that's the fight where he hit him with that elbow and left that gash on his head. Yeah, so that's the fight I'm talking about here.
Yeah,
and they said that one was going to be a hell of a fight. Those two are warriors, man. And then we started off the fight card. Greg Hardy, the old Dallas Cowboy.
I was we'll get into that.
Castro, and he wins by a decision. And Hardy's getting better.
I was very, very impressed by Greg Hardy. Actually, he looked a lot more comfortable. He looked a lot more technically sound. Like, I think he's been getting by on just freak. I mean, he played in the NFL, so obviously he's a freak athlete. I think he was getting by on a lot of that and a lot of power. But Saturday night, man, he looked very not very, but much more technically sound, like a real fighter, not just an athlete out there. Yeah, and it was funny. He said because obviously there was no fans involved. He said that he could hear Cormier outside of the ring saying maybe where he was going wrong or what he should be doing. He said, "I actually heard that, and I was listening to it, and that helped him in the fight." I thought that was kind of a cool aspect as we watched our first live sporting event without fans. I think that was kind of cool, too.
That's one of the ones that, UFC is just one of the ones where fans isn't really going to bug me, man.
It didn't bother me much.
You don't really have to get too motivated for... You're about to be in a fight. I mean, nothing else is going to make your adrenaline rush more than that.
The only time I noticed it was when they walked out, and I thought it was fucking hilarious. Sade, who came out all hyped up, took his hat off and threw it into the stands and shit, and there's nobody there. But yeah.
I think those guys just have a ritual, man.
Yeah, he's just used to it.
So, it brings us up to our next card, or what's next. So apparently, let's say this. Unfortunately, Khabib's father is in a coma, not looking too good. I don't know if he's going to make it or not. It doesn't sound good, but you don't want to say somebody's not going to make it and they make it. So it looks like it was going to be Gaethje and Khabib.
Right, Dana said that was going to be the winner would get that fight, right?
And June or July was actually they were in talks, and then this happens with Khabib's father. And now they're saying that it might be Khabib and Gaethje in September.
Okay.
Now, Conor McGregor went on a fucking ram.
Oh, boy.
Dude, he went crazy
Dude,
on Twitter.
That was fucking crazy.
I mean, he called out everyone. He called out Gaethje. He called out Khabib. You name him. And then he says that Conor, the one that sticks out, the tweet that sticks out the most is when Conor said, "See you in July."
I was wondering.
So, for what it sounds like, what I would do is this, just because Tony Ferguson had everything to lose in that fight.
Yes.
He could have waited for Khabib and had his title shot. He did not have to take the Gaethje fight.
Kind of what I was wondering.
So, what I think, and this probably won't happen, and then I'll say what I think is going to happen. So, what I would do is I would let Khabib and Gaethje fight, and then I would also have Conor and Tony fight.
Ooh.
And then the two winners versus each other. Because Khabib's this thing. Khabib's willing to take less money to not fight Conor because he don't think Conor deserves it.
Yeah.
And Khabib wants to fight Khabib wants to fight who he thinks is the best. Now, we all think Conor's still the best, because I think if you put Conor and Gaethje in a ring, and as well as Gaethje can box, and as bad as I'd want to see that, I think Conor wins that by TKO.
Yes.
He's somebody who's just going to stand there and swing with Conor. I don't think there's too many people that can sit there and stand with Conor, boxing anyway. But you never know. I mean, Gaethje's a bad dude. But that's what I would do. I would do those two fights in the winners verse. But what I think's going to happen is I think we're going to get the trilogy. I think come July, well, obviously September, it's Gaethje and Khabib. But I think July, I don't think Conor's going to wait. And I think we're going to get Conor and Nate.
Number 3, baby. Oh, my God.
It just makes so much sense.
Those fights are so tough for me because those are two of my favorites. Because I've said before, I like the guys that talk shit, the guys that don't give a fuck. Conor fucking flew to another country to have his dudes back and pull up at Barclays Center. Nate will fucking throw a monster can at you while he's smoking weed in his press conference and shit. Like, those are the guys that I like in UFC. Sign me all the way up for the trilogy.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, who wouldn't want to see that again? I mean, the first two were just
too
crazy good. It makes you wonder, where's Conor at? If you get focused, Conor, can Nate stand there and with Conor? But the thing with Nate is Nate picks up in the later rounds where Conor where Conor decreases as the fight goes, So, yeah, the trilogy's always there. Obviously,
you got to settle the score.
Yeah, I mean, the Masvidal and Usman got to fight. I mean, that's just there's too much there. Those two got to fight before we think about Conor and Masvidal. As much as I'd like to see that too. That just makes too much sense, and Masvidal's starting to lose some buzz, man. I mean, if he's not going to get in there, then let's put Colby back in there because Colby and Usman was fantastic. So,
well, I put out a poll on our Instagram page here, and people that probably know a little bit more about this than I do, because I saw Conor. He took a shot at Khabib and said, "Justin, there's no danger in a man that hugs legs." We all know, talking about Khabib.
Yeah.
And then he said, try and dance around what the real threat is here all you want, meaning Conor. He said, I'm going to fucking butcher you, your teeth. I'm going to put them on a fucking necklace. Speak on my skills as a father, you are fucking dead.
Yeah.
And that was a response to a tweet from Gaethje back in September that said, you're a tool. You have lost everything already. You are a shit human, father, and husband.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah, that's one thing, and I know these guys are just warriors, man, and, these guys have tempers, obviously. I just think when you start speaking on a man being a father, then yeah, I mean, I don't think Conor's in the wrong there.
No, that's crossing the line. But my question to that was, are they hyping enough to where maybe Conor's Gaethje's next fight? Does Gaethje fight Conor between Khabib, or does he just wait it out?
No, just because you don't want to do what Tony just did. I mean, everybody's a fighter and they want to fight, and the money talks. And don't get me wrong, when you fight Conor McGregor, millions come in. So,
millions.
I mean, he'd make more fighting Conor than he would Khabib, and Khabib's the champion. So I guess you never want to say never because money definitely talks. But that's going to be interesting. These next couple fights are going to be big, especially for the middle, that class, the 170 weight class. So
props to Dana.
Yeah, man. Dana,
the spotlight's all on them right now.
Yeah, I mean, Dana's a god. He's a sports god, dude. I mean, he does, and dude, thousands and thousands of virus tests there, and obviously there was a fighter that did test positive, and they pulled the fight out and got him out of there immediately and They retested everyone every day. Like I said, went through thousands of tests. So, man, it's just Dana's amazing, man. He's just done everything right when it comes to the UFC.
Yeah, I was worried when that fighter tested positive. I was like, oh shit, dude, they're gonna shut the whole thing down.
Yeah,
but
they're keeping them away from each other. Though, so they're like, well, no one's been around him, so
virtual presser type things that they were doing in isolation. So it worked out. I would be more than happy to get Dana to get the spotlight on him more and more as we go through this and just put these things on, because he's doing phenomenal with it. So I'll be very excited to see what comes in the future, man. And I'm getting more and more into it, like we've all kind of talked about since we started the show. And this shit talking and all that, I'm completely in for it.
Definitely, man. And just to top it off here, I'm ready to see what Dana has in store for us. On next pay-per-view, UFC 250. Now this Saturday we do have Overeem and I forget his opponent, but another big fight this Saturday. Obviously not as big as the last card, and this one's going to be free. Just ready, man. Shout outs to the UFC, man. UFC's done it right.
Absolutely.
Drew, we now want to transition over here. UFC, want to go back here to the NFL, man. We posted something on Facebook that just got a lot of attention, and it was all the starting quarterbacks going into the season, and there were 6 tiers of quarterback. Tier 1 was the best of the best. Tier 2 was elite quarterbacks. Tier 3 was franchise quarterbacks. Tier 4 was quality starters. Tier 5 was average/unproven starters. And then Tier 6 was fringe quarterbacks. Kind of want to just start up here on the top of the list, and we'll kind of go down the list here of the starting quarterbacks. I think we agree. Tier 1 here, they had Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson.
Yeah, no argument there.
Yeah, I mean, no argument there at all. I mean, when you're talking the best of the best,
those are the two guys that come to mind for me.
Yeah. Now, here's what I'll say. I mean, are we talking? I think this list is talking right now at this point going into this season.
Yeah,
this isn't talking about the past, because I mean, Tom Brady should easily be up there. I mean, he's the GOAT. Could be
yeah.
But Tom has declined. But dude, he's 42, 43 years old.
Yeah, I think he turns 43 during this season.
So obviously, and I don't, obviously anybody at this point in time would take Mahomes and Wilson over Tom because, well, he's 42, 43 years old.
Yeah.
So, so I don't think that we would disagree. Now the second tier, this is who they had on the list, and we'll go over each tier when it comes. They had Lamar Jackson on there, Drew Brees on there, Aaron Rodgers on there, Deshaun Watson, Carson Wentz, and Dak Prescott as tier 2 elite quarterbacks.
Dak, you gotta go, dog.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Listen, Lamar, after last year MVP, he should definitely be right there.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna. Yeah, I have my questions about Lamar. Lamar still can't throw great. I mean, and you wonder, are they going to figure him out, or is he just going to be this just superior athlete that no one can touch? I don't know.
Step back.
Drew Brees, obviously one of the greatest quarterbacks ever.
Yeah.
And then on this 2 tier of elite, the one, let's see, Aaron Rodgers. So we'll just keep going on the list. Aaron Rodgers, elite. I mean, let's not take it. I mean, come on, the guy
overhyped.
He doesn't have. Elite. He's overhyped when you mentioned greatest of all time, but he's still an elite quarterback. The dude's great.
Sure.
Deshaun Watson should be on there. He's an elite quarterback. Carson Wentz. I don't like Carson Wentz being in tier 2. I think he's more of a tier 3 franchise quarterback. He was having an MVP year before he tore his ACL a few years back, but he hasn't done enough for me to say, okay, he's an elite quarterback. I mean, the Eagles won a Super Bowl without him.
Yeah, he's a guy, first off, and maybe they've panned out, they needed to get him some damn weapons. Yeah, he was having the MVP caliber season, blew his knee out. Nick Foles comes in, they win a Super Bowl, so it's like clearly he's not irreplaceable.
Right.
But he's on the I have him kind of right there teetering between elite and franchise. I think with the injury concerns on him, I would put him down to franchise and not into elite because when I evaluate a quarterback, I'm not just talking about numbers and all that. I'm talking about leadership, availability, how can you stay on the field.
Right.
So I would,
Yeah, that's how I am. Everything goes into me, and we have these discussions all the time. And, obviously within our group chat, and we always, me and you, when we're arguing, stats always get thrown at us, and we're just not a complete stats, it's just, I understand what they did, and I understand they don't win championships by themselves, but the great ones do. I mean, look at all what Brady had, man.
And that's my thing with Dak. Yeah, he's got like 40
Yeah, I mean, let's go to Dak. Listen, I'm with you. Dak is not a tier 2 elite quarterback, man. The word is Dak turned down $35 million a year recently, and that's
105 guaranteed.
Yeah, I mean,
what the fuck?
That's fucking insane. To me, Dak is a tier 4 quality starter. That's where I have Dak. Dak has done nothing to say you're an elite quarterback. It's just, what the hell's he on this list for? Because he's a fucking Dallas Cowboy?
I think that's part of it. And like I said, his win numbers are good. His passing numbers aren't terrible, but he plays in one of the weakest divisions in history the last few years. It's just been bad. You got the Redskins. How bad have the Giants been?
Yeah.
The Eagles, they got a ring in there. I mean, came in behind Romo and one of the best line. He came in behind the best line in the NFL when he first came in. Started out with Zeke in the backfield.
Right. Great line, good receivers, great running back. I mean, solid defense.
You put him, let's say you put him on Brady's team last year. Take Dak and put him on the Patriots last year that Brady had.
Right.
They don't even make the playoffs.
No.
Put him on the Bengals last year. Maybe he wins them one more game. Maybe they go 3-13.
Maybe it's.
I just don't.
If he turned that down, and I'm Jerry Jones, I'm walking away after that.
I'd be done.
I'm walking away. I was hearing a conversation. Where else is? So say he turns down $35 million. Who else is going to offer him that?
Nobody in the fucking world.
Nobody in the league is. He won't see that. Jameis Winston couldn't even get $20 million.
No shit. And they need to get it figured out because I'm working from home. I get up every morning, turn on ESPN, I watch Get Up. I'm fucking sick about hearing about Dak's contract. It's overkill, but come on, man. You want to set the quarterback market just to have Mahomes beat it 20 minutes later? I mean, what?
Even then, I mean. That's the thing. You pay Dak that, Dallas is going to be in trouble for years to come.
Years. Mahomes is just a different breed.
Yeah.
Like we've said,
and I will say this
about
I would take. I'm taking Mahomes a blank check, but let's not say that it's not going to happen because once Mahomes gets a blank check, you're going to lose people. You're possibly going to lose maybe a Tyreek Hill.
Oh, absolutely.
When he signs that over $40 million check. That goes towards your salary.
That's why you better make sure it's a guy that can overcome the losses that come with signing the contract.
Exactly.
I believe Mahomes can. Dak can't. So you pay Dak all that money, and then it comes time to extend your offensive lineman or that new young tight end. What's his name? Barwin, I think maybe that new good tight end that they had. I think it's Barwin. So what happens when you lose those guys and you got to cut some of these O linemen and make your cap situation work coming into an off season? Then what are you going to do, Dak?
Exactly.
You're not going to fucking bring.
Well, he won't care because he'll have his money.
And go fucking 6-10.
Yeah. So I mean, I just think he's way too high up on this list. Tier 2 elite quarterback, no way. And then, which is on this list in Tier 3, they have the franchise quarterbacks sitting there is Tom Brady. Tom Brady's over Dak. Tom Brady's over Wentz. And then also I'm putting Big Ben up there. Obviously, Big Ben's still an elite quarterback. Now, time will tell this year on Ben, after the surgeries, and he is getting older. The workouts they're saying he's doing is
or
bad.
Lack thereof.
Yeah, or lack thereof. But Ben is still Big Ben. But you got to
proven otherwise.
Right, until proven otherwise. So I want to go down here to the Tier 3 quarterbacks. Obviously, we mentioned Big Ben and Brady. We think they should go up. Other quarterbacks on that list: Matt Ryan, Matthew Stafford, Kyler Murray, and Kirk Cousins. I'm going to actually move quite a few around here. Obviously, we said Big Ben and Brady up to Tier 2. Matt Ryan, I would leave him there. I think Matt Ryan is a franchise quarterback.
Took him to a Super Bowl.
Kyler, I'm moving down to a Tier 4 quality starter just for now.
Yeah, there's not enough on him.
Yeah.
How many games they win last year? Like 4 or 5?
Right. Stafford, I'm moving Stafford down to a quality starter. Stafford just done nothing to me, man. And like we say, me and you aren't stat guys, so other people could very well disagree with this. The dude can't even beat good teams.
That's the thing for the stat guys. Look at his record against winning teams.
Yeah, right.
Last I looked,
the stat guys want to throw us. Look at his court. Look at his touchdowns. He doesn't throw many interceptions. Look how many he does this and does that. But come on, look at his wins and then look at wins against quality playoff fucking teams, dude. It's bad.
I don't believe he's won a playoff game either.
He hasn't. No,
I don't know. I don't have it in front of me. I can.
And he's been in the league a long time, and he had fucking Megatron.
I don't know. I'm probably wrong here. I can't remember a playoff game they played in.
They did. He went to a couple playoff games. One against Dallas.
Oh yeah.
The real controversial one.
Yeah, but he's never won.
No,
I'm not big on Stafford at all.
I'm not neither. I think he's a quality starter. You know, if he's kind of, to me, he's in that same boat as a Andy Dalton. Like he's good enough to make you not want a quarterback.
And I think the same thing about a guy that's on the franchise quarterback list. I think Cousins could maybe go down a peg. I
go back and forth with Cousins.
Yeah, but I think how like a Lincoln is like a little bit fancier Ford.
Right.
He's like the Lincoln version of Andy Dalton.
I would probably, if you put a gun to my head and said make a decision, I would probably leave Cousins right there. I mean, he did take out the Saints last year. Obviously he had Dalvin and Stefanski run, with him on the offense.
Yeah, we'll see a lot about him this year.
Yeah, I just think that as of right now, and we said going into this year, I like Cousins right there. I do think I see why we would put him right there, and I did for years put him right there with the Andy Dalton and with the Matt Staffords and the Derek Carrs, of the world. But yeah, I would leave him right there for time being going into this year for now. But I wouldn't argue with you if you wanted to take him down to a tier 4. I wouldn't do it.
Right. Yeah, it's close enough for me. I guess that I could leave him there.
So now let's go to the tier 4. These are quality starters going into this year. We have Josh Allen, who we'll say it afterwards. So we have Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield, Ryan Tannehill, Derek Carr, Jimmy Garoppolo, Jared Goff, Phillip Rivers, and Sam Darnold. I like the list. Like I said, I would have Dak down here. I'd have Kyler down here as well, and Stafford down here as well. That part of the list doesn't affect me any. I think that Josh Allen is right there. Now, he could take a big step,
I think he will.
And he was bad in the playoff game. But as going into this year, right now, he's a quality starter. Baker, dude, why is Baker getting so much hate?
Tim Combs, buddy.
And I'm not even just Tim, man.
No, he gets a lot of
hate.
He's mouthy, man.
I think
he's in Ohio.
Yeah, well, I think he's in Ohio. I think Ohio State fans aren't over him planting the flag in the middle of the shoe. But they failed. Like, he did have a bad season. Browns fans will admit he had a bad season, but he's played for 2 seasons. In his first season, he set the rookie touchdown pass record. I mean, Baker's not a bad, but I wouldn't take Baker down off this list.
I could see him being put into unproven starters just because it's been 2 years, and he took such a big step back with so many weapons last year. I'm not saying that
team took a step back, though.
Yeah, because their coaching was fucking horrible.
It was awful.
I personally would probably leave him there, but I could see an argument for taking him down because I think this is a big prove-it year. If we're talking going into this year.
This is a prove-it year, but I'm not taking him down off a quality starter.
I would knock Darnold down.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say. The one that I would move down here is Darnold. This is a big year for Darnold, man.
It is.
I know he had mono last year or whatnot, and some injuries. Yeah, he was seeing ghosts and shit. But yeah, I would move Darnold down here to a tier 5 average, unproven starter. Kind of want to get on that list. On here also is Drew Locke.
I like Drew Locke, man. I think he's cool as fuck.
Yeah, I like Drew Locke. Daniel Jones,
Danny Dimes,
Teddy Bridgewater. Gardner Minshew, Fitzmagic, and Joe Burrow.
Burrow should be tier 1 best of the best, but
I mean, I don't have nothing wrong with that list either. I think and I would put Sam Darnold down there with those guys. Teddy, obviously he came in and ran with the Saints, but now he's got his own team, so we'll see how he does with the Panthers. Gardner there. It surprised me that they have Fitzmagic here and not Tua over Burrow, because I think, Tua could be right there as a average unproven starter as well, since he has also not played any games. Burrow hasn't played a game, so obviously Burrow's going to be right there.
Looking at this list, outside of Fitzmagic, I think it's mostly just unproven more so than average.
Yeah.
You didn't see a lot out of Locke. You got a year out of Danny Dimes with Eli breathing down his neck. Teddy started for a little while in Minnesota, but he was young.
And I'm with you. You can't put these guys up as quality starters when a lot of them hasn't started.
Yeah. And Minshew was, he's a fucking cool personality, but he was iffy last year, but he was a rookie. Fitzmagic's the only one I think he's been in the league long enough to even call him average.
That's why I said and Tua is eventually going to start there before that year is over.
I think that they should sit him a whole year, but chances are he starts a game. So you could have put Tua there, but really that's just interesting, unproven young guys outside of Fitzmagic.
I mean, if I'm going to do average there, we have one as a fringe starters here, Tyrod. I mean, I'd put Tyrod in there as an average starter.
I just think it's been so long since people have seen Tyrod.
Yeah, and his last outing with the Browns wasn't good. Going to go there, those tier 6 fringe starters. You got obviously Tyrod. You got Stidham, the Pats' new quarterback. You got Dwayne Haskins, who I think deserves to be down there right now.
Yeah, as of right now.
And then you have Mitchell Trubisky, who's probably going to lose his job to Nick Foles, if you ask me.
The Stidham thing, what tells you he's a fringe starter? I think he's
unproven,
more unproven than
a lot of these guys.
Than a lot of those guys. I think he's just as unproven as Burrow. I mean,
you're right.
He played some preseason reps, but I don't think I don't know.
No starts. You're just unproven at this point. It don't make you a fringe, a fringe quarterback. And who even knows how many starts he's going to have there? Brian Hoyer and I forget who the hell else they picked up. One thing I was thinking about the Pats, dude, why not go try and get Brissett back?
That's what I was wondering.
Unless you just see him you don't see him as good enough, which a lot of teams might not.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't he go like 3-0 when he started for Brady's suspension, or 3-1?
Shit, I would say the backups for Brady all have pretty damn good record.
Yeah, but they don't have a great record when they leave.
Right.
But Brissett was. I mean, he was.
Brissett's not bad.
No, he was I think when Brissett took over for Andrew Luck after Luck retired in August of last year, the Colts' ceiling came down, but their floor, I don't think, really moved that much. I think he was able to have him on the edge of the playoff,
which is the craziest thing with Luck. Like, he would be in a great spot right now with Indianapolis, man.
Oh God, that line, the
defense,
Pittman there now, Jonathan Taylor. So I mean, I don't know about Stidham there, but I just don't know what makes him a fringe starter. But I would, looking at this list, I would switch the tiers. I would have your fringe starters above your unproven guys. But I guess the average, I don't know. The way that list is made up isn't how I would have done it. But it's a lot of good conversation.
It makes for good conversation. There's not a whole lot I would change. I think if I'm looking at it and you said make one move on here, it's Dak. Dak is not an elite quarterback. I don't know where people see that at. But that's the big one. But yeah, I like doing that. Taking the quarterbacks and averaging them out and seeing where we would have them.
Yeah, so I mean, we got a good amount of interaction on our Facebook page from it, man. Some very, very good conversation from our listeners, our fans, if you would call them. So I thought that was a good time, man, and we've been kind of getting a little bit more active in the conversation stuff, comparing certain things or just kind of interacting with you guys. So we have a lot of fun with that. Get us through some of these slow, boring days.
Yeah, definitely. And we're going to keep posting those and getting everybody's feedback, because that's the thing, man. We always said that the locker room is for everyone. So
absolutely,
we want everyone's opinion and then just debate whether it's in here or whether it's on our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram page.
And bringing into that, the locker room is for everybody. We have a lot of Bengals and Browns coverage here, but we're going to bring in, you've probably seen him commenting on our Facebook page quite a bit, Jim Sayre. And we're going to talk some Steelers. He said there's enough Bengals and Browns propaganda going on here. He's going to do some Steelers talk. So, Jim, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I am well. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing good. Just trying to keep myself entertained while locked up in the house.
What's up, Jim? How we doing?
Good. All right. Yeah, no, good to talk to you guys. You know, I've been checking out your podcast, although I got to say I'm typically getting it on delay, and that. But it's good to talk to you guys. But as I told Drew, you guys, you like to talk about the Bengals and the Browns and all that, and thankfully we don't have to hear too much about the Ravens. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So, but no, just looking at some things this year, I'm pretty excited about the Steelers' season, and I know that they've kind of gone under the radar a little bit. They didn't have a first-round pick this year because they, of course, had that Minkah Fitzpatrick trade, and so it's kind of funny because in a sense, Minkah is kind of their first-round pick.
It's hard to go wrong there.
Oh yeah, just amazing, and there was nobody anywhere near the orbit of where the Steelers were going to pick that was going to be anywhere as good as Minkah.
Yeah, there's not an impact guy to play DB for you guys in the draft that you were going to get where you were picking. I don't think that was going to have the impact of Micah.
No, there was nobody. We would have had to. I mean, and frankly, I would go so far as to say and be so bold as to say I don't know that there was any defensive back in the draft this year. Now, there were a couple of guys up in the top, but the Steelers would have had to tank badly. And I think when Miami made the deal, they made the deal after Ben Roethlisberger went down.
Right.
And I think they were thinking, because the Steelers' defense had struggled the first couple of weeks, of the season last year, and Ben went down in, of course, the second game, officially. Apparently, he'd been injured far longer than that. Apparently, but that's another story. But I think the Dolphins thought, hey, this is amazing. So if the Steelers are going to give us their first round pick, there's a good chance that could even be, a top 10 pick.
Right.
And
at the time,
I think that they initially thought with Ben out, why not make that trade? I thought it was a good trade for both. I thought it was better for Miami at the time, but as the season went on, you just couldn't argue with how well the get that was for Pittsburgh. I mean, Minkah turned the entire defense around, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, well, and part of it was Minkah, and that's a fact. But part of it is actually a guy that was kind of unsung a little bit, and that was Steven Nelson. So Steven Nelson was one of those guys. He didn't make some of the splashy plays that Joe Hayden made, but he was actually more difficult to throw on than Hayden. He was just outstanding all year long, so it was just one of those things that he was kind of a quiet off-season acquisition, and so between getting Minkah, getting Steven Nelson back there with Hayden, it really just gelled that defense, and what it does, of course, is that gives that extra half second or so where someone like Cam Hayward, someone like T.J. Watt, somebody like Bud Dupree. And then what a lot of people forget is that Stephon Tuitt, before he got injured, was an absolute monster.
Yeah, he's unsung a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think that I don't think that anybody can argue what Pittsburgh's defense is going to look like, because the defense is loaded. I think what the Steelers' season boils down to this year is how well Big Ben bounces back.
Right, exactly, and so what the team has done and what they've really chosen to do, they've got some guys like Benny Snell and James Conner who are those are bruiser backs. Those are guys that are designed to, wear defenses down, and that they added
North.
The kid. Yeah. They added a kid from Maryland in the draft.
Anthony McFarland. I love that pick.
So they added that. They added of course, their second round pick, Claypool, out of Notre Dame, he's huge.
Yeah, he's huge. He's a big Ben target kind of guy.
Right. Well, plus they added Eric Ebron as well, and people kind of have forgotten because Juju was hurt part of the year, and then Vance McDonald was also hurt. So they had some guys that just were kind of dinged up, and it was just difficult. And so, of course, when you've got a defense that can stack the box because they have no threat from the undrafted quarterback that was, starting, or even Mason really got to be pretty gun-shy there.
I can't blame him, man. He took a lot of trauma.
Yeah, he did. And so anyway, that's to say that it's exciting. It's exciting with that little asterisk of Ben. If Ben is even, he doesn't need to lead the league in passing again. That's not the idea. In fact, we don't want that. Right? We don't want that. But at the end of the day, if he can make quick reads, if he can make decisions, if he can make defenses pay when they stack the box, and the team can actually manage to score at least 20 points a game, because that was the problem, right? They were averaging, they were averaging like 16 points a game. You can't win in the NFL doing that.
Not in today's league.
Right. So they're averaging 16 points a game from the offense. The defense, they had a little bit of a winning streak there in the defense. We talked about Minka earlier. We talked about Joe Hayden. Those guys were contributing with some timely picks, pick sixes, stuff like that helped. But that's not going to be sustainable throughout the year. You're not going to depend on the defense. Yeah.
Hey, anyway. Jim, let me tell you what I seen this offseason. I seen them get Ben, and I don't know if it's from seeing Duck and Mason Rudolph there, but I watched them get a lot bigger. Eric Ebron, Chase Claypool, and you're going to get guys back. It's if I didn't know any better, I would look at the Steelers and be like, they must have been bad in the red zone.
Yeah.
Because that's why you go get those big receivers, and unless they realize Ben is aging, and they don't want him to take as many shots, and they're doing kind of what the Browns are doing with Njoku and Hooper, and then they drafted another tight end, and they're just going to run a lot of heavy sets, run the ball, throw it to the tight ends, and that's what I see them doing. And I kind of want to talk about that round 4 pick. Anthony McFarland is who you're talking about from Maryland.
Right.
And for our listeners that are going to listen to this episode, there's a game with Anthony McFarland at Maryland and against Ohio State. And I was talking to my cousin about this, who's also a big Steelers fan. Go YouTube Anthony McFarland versus Ohio State, and you will see the best player on the field that day. And
really?
And he didn't play for Ohio State. He ran crazy over Ohio State.
And what's crazy about that game, and obviously if he'd been able to sustain that kind of performance, he would have been a top 5 pick. But he actually had a bad wheel this last year, and so it's kind of like he came to a place where he kind of picked up their offense there at Maryland, and then he had some setback. One of the things that at least Steelers fans know this, but Mike Tomlin's son plays at Maryland.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so Mike Tomlin's son plays at Maryland, and he's pretty familiar with that team. In fact, it's interesting because they took 2 Maryland players in the draft this year. And now the one guy is more of a developmental safety. He's a hitter. He's not great in pass coverage, but
Antoine Brooks, wasn't it?
Yeah. So, but McFarland, what they've really looked for, and one of the guys that they haven't really had is that game breaker that's got the kind of crushing speed. And that's really kind of what they're looking to have. Because, again, with guys like Snell and Connor, those are guys that are going to wear a defense. They're going to be, they're going to be those 3 yards in a cloud of dust type running back.
Yeah,
with
and that's
McFarland,
my thing. And watching the Steelers over years, obviously I watch them very closely. They're my division rival, and as you know, the team I probably dislike the most. But when they had the killer bees rolling, Bell, Ben, and Brown, it seemed like the defense couldn't hold up their end of the bargain. Last year, obviously Ben was out, but the defense was holding it up and the offense couldn't. So they're running out of seasons to put all of it together because, Ben takes too many hits. He's not going to be around forever. So they've really got to get it right here within the next year or two, I think, to really put something together to go after, what is it, the 7th Lombardi that they would get?
Yep, stairway to 7.
Man, I don't want to see that happen, but what are your thoughts? And this is probably the last thing I'll hit on here. I've seen a little bit of this coming in and out. What do you think of the reports that Ben's not really the hardest worker in the offseason, and he likes to drink a lot of beer, and he's never really been the take the young quarterback under the wing. I know he was kind of upset when Mason Rudolph went in the 3rd. So what's your take on that kind of image of Ben being put out this offseason?
Well, if that's news to anybody, then I've got more news for you.
Yeah, that shouldn't be news to anybody.
Water is wet, okay? That has really been said about Ben since the beginning. Now, interestingly enough, one of the people that kind of came to Ben's defense in that was his old offensive coordinator and current coach of the Tampa Bay Bucks, right? Bruce Arians. He said, wait a minute here. Anybody who thinks that Ben doesn't work in the offseason has got another thing coming. And in fact, it's funny because last year he actually came in noticeably thinner in that. I think a lot of people saw a lot of pictures of him with this great big bushy beard and bulky, in kind of bulky clothes, and they thought a certain way. Now, Ben is never going to be one of those my body is my temple guys like Brady or something.
Right.
That's not his. And he's not going to be even like a Cam Newton or some of those guys that are going to be on the cover of Men's Fitness or something. But that's not his game. But at the end of the day, I think he's going to come in shape. The big thing is how the Steelers do things. Are they going to give him a pitch count? Are they going to, how much, because they really, the last couple of years, they really haven't worked in too much in preseason. But this year, is he really going to need to get a little more in the way of reps? That kind of stuff. So I'll be curious to see how the team works it. But everything coming out of Pittsburgh right now is that Ben actually is in really good shape. And to add to what Bruce Arians said, Bruce Arians has also said this will be the first time in probably 3 years that Ben will not be in pain when he throws.
Oh, wow.
And so that, I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. It's all preseason stuff. You don't know if it's just bluster or if it's just him trying to make a headline.
Hey, Jim, I got a solution for it all, man. I'm a Browns fan, so I'm going to give the Pittsburgh some intel here. How about we just get back to Pittsburgh football, run the ball, and play defense?
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, and I think that they would like to do that with these weapons that they have on the offense. The idea behind that is just to give their backs a chance, because again, if defenses are able to stack the box like they were last year, the running game can't get going.
How big of a loss is Ramon Foster?
Not a very big one. He was kind of becoming a bit of a liability last year. He's a great locker room guy. Like his leadership in the locker room is good, but on that line, they already have guys like DeCastro and Pouncey and Al Villanueva, and those guys are all good locker room guys too. So I don't think they're going to miss that too bad. But he was getting a bit long in the tooth. So, that is what it is. But I think it's going to be an exciting year. The AFC North, obviously,
best division in football.
All the things they're doing. The Bengals have Burrow now. The Ravens, of course, have the returning MVP of the league. So there's a lot to be excited about in the AFC North.
Absolutely, and I cannot wait for it, and I hope that it all starts on time, obviously.
Yeah, don't we all?
Yeah, so, hey, man, I appreciate you for calling in. I appreciate you for being one of the few Steelers fans I can have an eloquent back and forth with, and I know you probably deal with some of the same, so we appreciate you calling in, man. Feel free to call us anytime.
Okay, sounds good. Hey, go Blue.
Yes, sir. Go Blue. We do get along there.
Oh shit!
I
think we are at somewhere like 3,100 days since the last time Blue beat Ohio State.
I don't want to hear any of that shit.
Hey, one thing I was going to ask Jim there. It came out today. Did you see what Harrison said? James Harrison. He said that. You remember the hit he had on? Obviously, you remember the hit on Colt McCoy. Do you remember the hit he had on Muhammad Massaquoi?
Yeah, I do, because the NFL sold pictures of it right after cutting down on head injuries or whatever. Yeah, I do remember that.
So it came out today, and James Harrison said after that was done, and this is coming from the player, said Mike Tomlin handed him an envelope, and he said, "I won't talk further."
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, almost like I don't know why on little
pussy-ass
Muhammad Massaquoi. Or little pussy-ass Colt McCoy, those guys couldn't even ball. We should have asked Jim that, him being the Steelers fan. But, no, man, he made some valid points, and I'm never going to, as much as we dislike them, we're not going to take away from what we know Pittsburgh can do. And I would say there's a bigger chance, there's probably a bigger chance than not that they are going to be good again this year.
Yeah, I mean, you got to assume last year they were one game out of a playoff spot.
Yeah.
You got to assume that if they had been for one or two more games before he went down, that they would have probably been in that playoff spot. I think that they're dirty as shit. I think they're assholes. I think their coaches let them get away with a lot of shit. But it's hard to look at that organization and say they don't know what they're doing. They're a pretty well-run organization. So they are the team that I hate most in sports. They have done a lot of damage to me. That's probably why. But I can't say that that they're going to just be bottom feeders and not be in it, because I truly expect them to be – I expect that from them every year. And I had years of, okay, this is the year they take a step back and they suck really bad, and then they don't. So they've proven me wrong.
It's on Ben's shoulders. Like I said, I mean, if you get a chance, go look at that Anthony McFarland game against Ohio State, dude. He's best player on the field.
I don't like hearing that.
Yeah. I would disagree with maybe a little bit with Jim there. Maybe not disagree, but I don't think you're going to see too much of him with Connor. But I do think maybe he ends up being a replacement just because of the running back position, always talk about.
Connor struggles to stay on the field too, man. He's got injury, and I really liked Benny Snell coming out of college, but he wasn't too impressive.
He didn't impress me last year either. So I think like he said, maybe he's right. They did get him a change of pace back to someone who's a burner. Just real quick here, just seeing, we're scrolling down the feed here, and Gino Smith agrees to a 1-year deal with the Seattle Seahawks. I haven't seen that name in a while. And just a little bit of Browns news here. I like seeing this. Baker Mayfield has invited all the receivers and tight ends to come work out with him.
Yeah, Burrow's done that as well, too. You love your
next week in Oklahoma.
Oh, wow.
I'm loving the new Baker this year. You're not seeing any commercials or of this and that. I mean, you're seeing Baker being silent, and you're seeing him put in the work, and that's what you want to see out of your quarterback. Like I said, we're not going to look into anything too far of what the Browns do, but those are the things you like to see from your franchise quarterback.
Yeah, and much, much happier this offseason with Baker. There's not 10,000 commercials and all that. There was that little blip on the radar that he got a blowy behind a Cheesecake Factory or something, but he's quiet. He's trying to get his guys together and work. And he said, there's nothing else to talk about. So happy to see that from him.
Last thing I wanted to hit on here involving the Browns was word came out today that in 2018 that the Seahawks, this came from Pro Football.
Dude, I saw that. Coward was talking about
who we talk about a lot. We love him. The word is that the Browns got offered Russell Wilson for the 2018 number 1 overall pick.
Why didn't they do it?
I don't know. See, I want to know more. Before we really hit on this, I want to know more. Was it just Russell Wilson for 1 overall? Or was it 1 overall plus a 1 plus a 1, you know.
Right. There's got to be more.
Right. Was there more? Was it just straight up 1 overall for Russell Wilson? If so, god damn, the Browns should have jumped on that.
I would have given 2, maybe 2 and then 2 ones and then a second for dude. It's Russell fucking Wilson.
No, I agree. But I want to know. There's no way it was just that.
I don't think so either. Seattle's not that dumb. I mean, number 1's great, but
I wouldn't think the Browns would be that dumb either.
Yeah, that would have had to been a done
that.
deal. I mean, I know you're a Baker guy, but
it's Russell Wilson.
Genie pops out of a bottle right now and says, "I can make Russell your starter or Baker." You're gonna go Russell.
Yeah, so I don't want to hit on. We don't want to hit on that too much, but that is out there that did happen. But I want to know more. You know, was it just on both ends? You know, what exactly was it?
Yeah, that
what was the deal, if there was a deal?
I saw Coward talk about that on a video, and I thought it was funny because he made a comparison actually to Ben, since we just got done talking about the Steelers. He said, you know, the Steelers drafted Mason Rudolph in the 3rd, and what did you hear? Ben bitching and moaning publicly. How does that help us win now? Blah, blah, blah. Russell Wilson's third round in trade talks to Cleveland, which at the time in 2018, that's probably the worst place you could have got traded, no offense. And you don't hear a word from it. He's just like, just a quiet dude. But, man, yeah, I hope more comes out about that. Because
yeah, give us something more to talk about. Yeah, but, I mean, so that's going to be interesting to find out exactly how that went down.
Yeah, and, you know, there's not much on the Bengals front really going on. I know that that Burrow wants to get together with Ross and AJ and guys like that and try to get some work in whenever the situation in the world allows for it. I did see that they tried to go after Thaddeus Moss, the tight end from LSU, which I like to see because I thought they could have at least spent a late pick on him.
Yeah, the dude went undrafted.
Yeah, for a reason.
Everybody had 7 rounds to pick him.
There was a foot fracture they found with him.
There's just too much talk there for me. I don't care if it's a foot fracture. Like you said, he's worth a 6th or 7th.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
If you really want him.
He can't block for shit.
Yeah, there's more there that we don't know, I think.
I don't know why he didn't go back to school. Honestly.
You know, and not that the connection wasn't there last year. It obviously was at LSU. It's just where, I mean, we continuously talk about a guy who might not even make a team.
Yeah, so
he wasn't drafted for a reason.
But that's really the biggest Bengals news there. So not much to hit on with them as we're kind of in this dead period between. I know they're doing virtual OTAs and installing the offense, but I mean, man, usually by now I could at least have a couple videos of him in Cincinnati making throws to some receivers, have something to get excited about. So not much going on.
I think
there.
In due time, my friend.
Hope so.
In due time, I think we're going to be there.
Yeah, hopefully so, man. And like I said, fans, no fans, whatever. Let's just start this NFL season.
Let's go.
So I think that's about all we got for you guys today. Thanks for tuning in to us. Always we'll be active here on our social media accounts, giving you guys something to talk about, get you through the day. Tune in with us next week. Locker Room Talk Uncut.